Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, do me a huge favor, go down and subscribe before we get started into the video. It's been a while since I've made a video with this car, and it's unfortunate because of the weather. I wanted to drive this car more, but it turned really cold in this last week all of a sudden. It's been cloudy, rainy, and just miserable, honestly. Super windy as well. Of course, the car I'm talking about is sitting right in front of me, my 2000 BMW M Roadster. I made a video about the cost of ownership of owning my Mustang. I don't think I've done it on my Lexus yet. I think we will get to cost of ownership with that car as well. I wanted to make it on the BMW because BMW is not really known for the reliability, and it's actually known for the opposite in terms of being super expensive to keep and maintain. So I've got the cover taken off, and here is the car. This is basically the first sports car I ever had. I've owned this car for the longest amount of time. This car was before the Mustang, before any of the other cars, before I started this YouTube channel. This is the car I started the channel on, actually. So let's take it out and kind of talk about some things I've replaced, some things that have gone wrong, and overall, how the experience has been owning this car. It's been a while since this car has been started. But let's talk about this car now that it is outside. I bought this car in, I believe, 2019, so that would mean 3 years now, as of September. I bought it on the 14th of September, 2019. When I bought the car, there wasn't anything too wrong with it. It ran, it drove, everything was as it is right now. Maybe it needs to be cleaned for sure, but that bumper was starting to peel a little bit. This whole thing was happening. This has started to peel even more so in the last couple years that I've owned it. The front bumper needs to be touched up, if not fully replaced. Other than that, exterior cosmetic wise, this car doesn't need anything other than a rear badge back here. Stepping into the interior, the only thing that I've replaced in here is a shift knob. All of those things are things that are not mandatory for the car to be running or working properly though. So I got the car in September, drove it through September, October a little bit as well, and then it snowed near the end of October. We had an early winter that year, so this car was tucked away. Then came springtime, then came time to do a little bit of maintenance. What did I do? First thing was an oil change, and also this was the first manual car I had, so I messed it up a little bit. Not super bad or anything. I wasn't bashing on the car or abusing it. This car has 693 miles currently, which is gonna go up. So about 85,000 miles. I think I've put about 10,000 miles on the car. I need to go back because I honestly have forgotten. But what ended up happening in the clutch was a common issue with these cars is the slave cylinder. So the clutch would pop, and that was a brand new slave cylinder. Slave cylinder ran me about $200 to $300 plus an oil change as well, so all of that was about $300 in the first year there. For the rest of that whole summer, the car gave me no issues whatsoever until late that summer. None of these lights were glowing up, none of these lights were glowing up at all, other than, I believe, like the heated seats button light still worked. And I think that's about it. All the interior dash lights were done. And then in the front, one of the lights in this front headlight unit wasn't working. I thought it was a fuse. I looked for a fuse, but it ended up being a wiring thing, and that wiring thing is in the rear trunk here. It ended up being the wires here because of it opening and closing so many times throughout the years. All the wirings kind of just split apart, and I didn't get any of that fixed until 21. In 21, I also got an oil change, but it was about time to do a clutch as well. So we had $300 for the wiring, and then the clutch itself, plus install and all of the couple of other things that needed to be taken care of. It was mainly the clutch. So altogether, I probably have about $500 of repairs, $550 of repairs that I've done to the car. Not too bad if you look at it that way. I did put an $800 clutch, plus the oil change. Clutch, I knew when we bought it that it would need to be replaced at some point because of the mileage. I knew there was going to be an upfront cost of the clutch, which was the biggest thing that I've done, and it was worth more than all of the other things combined. This being a Z3 based car, the Z3 is arguably the most reliable BMW that's ever been made. arguably. I have seen very few people have issues with Z3s. The only thing I can see in the foreseeable future as a bigger cost is to repair the subframe. The subframes in these cars aren't the best, and they do need to be touched up after a certain amount of time. The only thing this car mechanically needs is an oil change as of right now. It needs that spring in the shifter fixed, which is going to have to drop the trans, so it's going to be something that's probably not going to be done for a while. It might need a brake job soon. It needs tires soon. So, you know, it's starting to need some of those maintenance items that happen around the 80 to 100,000 mile marker. The tires are a definite must. I've made it through this season because I haven't driven the car all too much, but it's definitely something beginning of next year I'm gonna get for the car. The brakes are still good. I'm not sure if they've been replaced at some point. I'm gonna have to go and look. I haven't really done any research because they feel fine, but it's something that is always gonna be in the back of my mind as the mileage does get higher, and something to always keep track of. But as of right now, there's nothing else. A couple of small things might come here and there. I'll keep you guys informed if something does happen. It hasn't really been driven all too much with me getting the Miata, me having the Mustang. I bought the Mustang and immediately this car I stopped driving as much. So on the screen I'm going to do the calculation I've spent per year on an average of maintaining the car. I'm going to go park this car up in a second, but one thing I would like to say is the cost of ownership hasn't been that bad. It hasn't been a Honda Civic, it hasn't been a Toyota Corolla, but for what you're getting, a two-door roadster convertible top with a luxury interior. This car is 22 years old at this point, and it still makes more horsepower than the newest Miata does. And that's no hate at the Miatas. I own one. It's a fantastic car, and I can't wait for my future ownership experience with it. So if you guys want to stay tuned with that, go subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. That's all I have for this one. Leave a like on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.